Add-on Solutions. Add-on Desires.
Hello viewers, welcome to Adot Solutions Daily News Analysis session. I am Lokesh Penugonda. This session is mainly for aspirants preparing for UPSC and Group 1 examinations. We'll begin with a quote. Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. Our first article is talking about the missile deal between India and the Philippines. Earlier this month, India and the Philippines signed the implementing arrangement for the procurement of defense material and equipment procurement. This agreement lays down the groundwork for a possible export of BrahMos missile from India to the Philippines. This is significant in many contexts. Now we will see why this potential deal is important for us and how it will be significant. First, it will bring India from the club of importing defense to club of exporters, because we have seen in the recent report of SIPRI, that is Stockholm International Peace Research Institute, it has stated that between 2016 to 20, India is the second largest importer of defense equipment, and with this deal we will be joining the club of the countries which are exporting high quality and powerful defense equipment. So this is significant in that context. Next, it would lead to defense industrial growth, because as we need to export these countries, we would have to produce more, and to produce more we would have to invest, and if we are investing and producing more, we would be providing jobs. So it would lead to jobs and increase in the defense production. By exporting these goods, we'll be getting foreign exchange, and it would help in achieving the defense export target of $5 billion by 2025, because earlier we have seen that in 2020 we have gotten a draft to increase the exports of aerospace and defense equipment worth $5 billion by 2025. We have set up this target. By starting to export high quality and huge deals, will be able to achieve this target. Also, it has geopolitical impact. We'll see the geopolitical impact. It deters the China's aggression in the South China Sea, because as you all know that the 9-dash line, which is near the South China Sea, whatever the territorial islands which are present in this 9-dash line, China lays claims over these islands, and also we see many other countries which are actually nearer to these islands laying counter claims. But as these countries which are near the South China Sea, Philippines, Vietnam, Indonesia and such other countries which exist near the 9-dash line in the South China Sea, they does not have much militaristic capabilities, but by exporting this and strengthening their capabilities, they would be helpful to deter the China's aggression in the South China Sea. Also, it would be a symbolic move, because if one country from the ASEAN starts buying a huge defense equipment from India, other countries would also follow. So it would lead to strengthening of the Asian countries as a whole. Also, by strengthening these countries, we would be helping them to protect their sovereignty. So it has huge geopolitical impact, and it would also boost the soft and hard profile of India, because till now India has been mostly providing grants and line of credit, but by providing defense equipment to Asian countries, we would be seen as a regional security provider to these countries. So these are the significant and geopolitical impact related to the potential missile exports. Now we'll see the features of the BrahMos missile, which is under consideration to be exported from India to Philippines. First, BrahMos is a cruise missile. It is getting its name from two rivers. First is Brahmaputra. Next is we're getting from Moskva river. This river is in USSR, that is Russia. As Russia and India are jointly preparing this, jointly manufacturing the BrahMos missile, the missile is named by the amalgamation of these two rivers. So now we'll see who will manufacture this. BrahMos missile is manufactured by the BrahMos Aerospace. This BrahMos Aerospace is a joint venture between DRDO of India and Mashinostroyenia from Russia. It is a medium range supersonic cruise missile with a range of 290 kilometers. And now it is trying to increase its range to 400 kilometers. It is a supersonic range. It is a supersonic missile. So what is supersonic? Supersonic is a capability of the missile or any other object to achieve the speed of more than 5 times the speed of sound. So if a missile or an object is able to achieve 5 times the speed of the sound, then it is called as supersonic. And also it has range of 290 kilometers. With supersonic strength, we have numerous advantages. So we'll see what are the advantages. First, it will be able to overpower the defense equipment. That is, whatever defense equipment the other countries might have, this medium range supersonic cruise missile, which is fast, can able to overcome this defense systems and able to hit targets before it can be neutralized. Also, it can hit fighter jets which are having lesser speed than Mach 5. So it has numerous advantages. Also, it can be launched from submarines, ships, aircraft or land, that is from land, from air and from water. From all these three bases we can send this missile from. So it has many advantages, but there exist challenges to export this missiles from India to Philippines. First is the CATSA. CATSA stands for Countering America's Adversaries through Sanctions Act. So this was a law made by the US Congress. This was to punish, to sanction the countries which are having huge defense deals with Iran, North Korea and Russia. So whatever the countries which are dealing with these three countries in huge quantities in defense, these countries can be sanctioned, and India is itself in the dilemma whether the buying of S-400 from Russia would be inviting any sanctions, because as S-400 is a huge deal between India and Russia, this can possibly be sanctioned under the CATSA, but we ourselves are unsure whether it would attract any sanctions. And also, as the BrahMos missile is a joint venture between India and Russia, nearly 65% of the components are from Russia. So it has two disadvantages. First, India can be sanctioned under CATSA first. Also, as the components are from Russia, other countries might think twice before importing this, because they would think of American sanctions before importing these goods. So this is one challenge. Second is the financing of the Asian countries, as the BrahMos missile and the equipment related to it is nearly 275 million, that is nearly 2000 crores. This is a huge amount for countries of many Asian, because these countries have lesser GDP and these countries have lesser wealth. So financing such a huge amount of money for defense deals would be a problem, would be a challenging issue for the countries who wants to import it. So what India did was, India offered a line of credit of nearly 100 million. So what is line of credit? Line of credit is like a credit that is India will provide finance, India will give us a loan, this amount, if the Philippines is willing to buy the BrahMos missile. So what is the way forward? It is important for our country to complete this deal because it would prove India's defense potential, and also it would make India to emerge as a net provider of the regional security in the Indo-Pacific. So extra care should be given to this deal. Next, there is an article talking about privatization and the negative effects of the privatization. First, we should know that in the recent budget session, the finance minister has said that 2 banks are being considered for privatization. What is privatization? Privatization is the process of government selling its stake and transferring the ownership and management of the public company to a private person or a private firm. As 2 banks are under discussion, are under consideration to be sold, to be privatized, the author is stating the issues and the possible problems that would arise in future and why privatization should not be done. As the finance minister has explained that public sector banks have lesser efficiency and this is one of the main reasons for privatization. The author is saying that the problem of efficiency is not only in public sector banks, even the private sector banks are not efficient in some cases. The author has stated that many private banks worldwide have been under losses, have become bankrupt. So it is not true that it is not correct for the PSBs to be, rather than telling them that these banks are not efficient, we should focus on increasing the efficiency of these banks. We will see the background of the bank nationalization and advantages we got after the nationalization of the banks. In 1969, Indira Gandhi government has provided for the nationalization of 14 big banks, and in 1980, 6 more big banks were nationalized. Also, in 1949, January, Reserve Bank of India was also nationalized. So this is the background of nationalization. Now we'll see the advantages nationalization of banks has brought to India. First, earlier the banks used to provide credit to rich and the persons who are running industries. Thus, the amount of money which the general public would get would be very, very few. After the nationalization, the banking sector has been transformed. It is able to provide credit to many sectors. Now, after the nationalization, due to the norms of priority sector lending and concentration on various sectors, we were able to see credit growth in agriculture, in MSMEs, in education, in rural development and in infrastructure. Also, of the total credit, 40% is set aside under the PSL norms. This also led to growth in other priority sectors. It led to the growth of banks. There were only 1833 rural banks in 1969, and after the privatization, we've seen nearly 33,000 banks existing in the rural sector in the 1995. So we see increase in credit, we see increase in number of banks, we see increase in the priority sector lendings. So these are some advantages. Now, apart from this improved the working conditions of bank employees, because earlier these banks and these employees used to be under the private control. So the conditions of these employees are not so well. After the nationalization of banks, they are getting fixed salaries and they are getting job security. Also, due to nationalization, the confidence in the public on these banks increased, because now the public would think if the bank even are in losses, the government, which is the owner of this bank, will repay back their money. So the confidence of public increased after nationalization of banks, and these banks supported in green, blue and dairy revolutions, which led to increase in food security, which led to growth in all these sectors, which led to increase in the investments in these sectors. Also, the public sector banks are able to provide nearly 1,74,000 crores as profit in 2019. Because of all these advantages, because of this significance, the author is stating that rather than privatizing the banks, we should concentrate on strengthening the banks. The author is also stating that privatization will lead to many issues and it would create many concerns and challenges. The author has stated that it would lead to denial of convenient and economic banking to the common man, because even now, if we see that the private sector banks charge more money compared to the public sector banks in various cases, let's say in ATM usage, for yearly maintenance. So even now, the maintenance and other charges charged by the private sector banks is much more when compared to the public sector banks. If you are privatizing the public sector banks, the people, the common man, would suffer in future. It would also lead to a risk of monopoly and cartelization, and it would lead to worsening of the employee conditions who are already working in these banks. So these are the potential concerns raised by the author. So what is the way forward? The author has stating that rather than blaming the public sector banks for low efficiency, NPAs, we should focus on improving these banks as a whole, and also we should make laws to improve the recovery, because as due to increase in NPAs, the profits and the recoveries has been coming down. So by improving the recovery laws, we will be able to get more profits and able to get more recovery. This can be achieved by stricting the laws. This can be achieved by stringent punishment on the willful defaulters, and this can be achieved by improving the insolvency and bankruptcy code, also by criminalizing the willful defaults. By enacting all these laws to punish the willful defaulters and to increase the recovery, we will be able to achieve more recovery, more profits, decrease NPAs. Also, the author has provided for incentivizing and improving the accountability of top executives so that the profits will increase, and if accountability increases, the possibility of losses will decrease. So these are the various recommendations the author has provided in the context of privatization. Next, we have an article talking about vaccination programs. According to this, till now, nearly 392 million doses of COVID vaccine have been provided worldwide. This is being tracked by the Bloomberg Vaccine Tracker, and of the 392 million doses which are provided, 9% are from India. So 9% of the vaccines provided worldwide are from India. But the article is talking about various challenges giving rise while vaccination. Our next article is talking about successful vaccination programs and the need for public trust. According to the Bloomberg Vaccine Tracker, nearly 392 million doses of COVID vaccine have been provided worldwide, and of this 392 million, In India, we've seen 9% of this, but there are many challenges coming up in the vaccination process. We've seen that nearly 40% who have taken the vaccine made by AstraZeneca, which is termed as Covishield in India, nearly 40% who have taken this vaccine have got blood clots in European Union. So European countries have immediately called for halting of this vaccine. As nearly 40 people got blood clots, European countries asked for halting, but the author is stating that in USA alone, nearly 1000 to 2000 people gets blood clots every day. So if 40 people are getting blood clots, it's not of a bigger concern when if you're taking COVID as a whole. Also, the World Health Organization and the European Medical Agency have called these countries to not halt the vaccination process, because these organizations are of the view that it is better to take these vaccines and if possible have some small side effects rather than getting contracted by the COVID, because these vaccines are given to healthy people and the impact of side effects of these vaccines are very minor in most cases. So these organizations are batting for continuation of vaccines and even improvement in the vaccination numbers. This halting may be good in some context, because if, let's say, a country have halted now because of some problems, then it would lead to other countries taking more measures. So this may be good in the end, but we should not stop vaccination process, because it is better than getting some small side effects rather than getting infected, because the possible advantages outweighs the possible disadvantages. And also, as this drug is being given to healthy people and not people who are sick, the effects of this drug will be very minute. The author is calling for continuation of the vaccination process and in fact provides for way forward, that is the situations and the solutions we should consider in the coming days. First, data sharing by regulators. As we've seen that some European regulators have called for the halting of the vaccine if the data is being shared with other regulators, and if the data of all these regulators are being compared, we will get a better understanding of the side effects, of the possible side effects of these vaccines. And also it would lead to increase in transparency, because now that the regulators will be able to get more amount of data, even the public will feel confident about this data. Also, to increase the transparency and public trust, we need to provide up-to-date data regarding the vaccination drive and the possible side effects of this drive. But in India, we see that the National Commission on Adverse Events Following Immunization is not providing such information. This is contrary to the principles and contrary to the functions of the other such regulators and commissions of the other countries. So the author is asking for more information and more transparency to make this vaccination drive successful. Next article is talking about the Gandhian route in Myanmar. In 1991, Aung San Suu Kyi, who was fighting for democracy in the country of Myanmar, was given Nobel Peace Prize. Later on, she has said that this Nobel Peace Prize award provides recognition to the oppressed and isolated in the Burma and the fact that they are also part of this world. But later on, after 30 years, we see that the same person has been ignoring the plight of Rohingyas when the military have seen crackdown military was cracking down on the Rohingyas and burning their houses? So the same person who was fighting for the democratic rights have seen ignoring them, and now she is put under house arrest following the coup by the Myanmar army. And following this coup, we have seen non-violent demonstrations in the whole of Myanmar. Despite being non-violent, these demonstrations are followed by the deadly crackdown by the military. Prelims practice questions. Consider the following statements. BrahMos missile can only be launched from air and land. It operates on the fire and forget principle. BrahMos is one of the fastest cruise missile. Which of the above statements is or are correct? The answer is A, because it can also be launched from water. Next, hypersonic speed is said to have achieved when the speed on the object is slightly more than the speed of the sound. If the speed is slightly less than speed of the sound, if it is 2 to 3 times more than the speed of the sound, if it's more than 5 times the speed of the sound, the answer is D, because hypersonic speed is said to have achieved when the speed is more than 5 times the speed of the sound. Next, what is the objective of newly established INSACOM? Is it to communicate securely with Indian Navy vessels? Is it to monitor genomic variations of COVID? Is it to gather data on the cyclones and other disasters occurring in Indian Ocean region? Is it an application designed to improve cognitive abilities of Indian Armed Forces? It is to monitor the genomic variations of COVID. Next, we've taken a question from 2019 question paper. With reference to the chemical fertilizers in India, consider the following statements. At present, the retail price of the chemical fertilizers is market driven and not administered by the government. Ammonia, which is an input of urea, is produced under the natural gas. Sulfur, which is a raw material for phosphoric acid fertilizer, is a byproduct of oil refineries. Which of the statements above either are correct? The answer is B, because at present the retail prices are administered by the government. Next, coming to the 9th practice questions. Explain how India's defense exports to Asian countries bring multiple advantages to India. Explain how nationalization of banks help various sectors in India. This is the end of this session. Thank you.
Add-on solutions. Add-on desires.